Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Len Tau, and I am super excited today for multiple reasons. Well, first, before I get there, I want to first thank my sponsors, Dental Intelligence, AllRail, and a new one, Net32. You'll be hearing their commercials as well, so check out those companies. And again, the only reason I'm able to do this every single week is because of their support. I also want to remind everybody about my event. It is only 1 week away. 1 week from now, we'll be gathered in Fort Lauderdale for Supercharge Your Dental Practice 2025. If you want to become a last-minute registrant, you can reach out to me. I will be glad to add you as a guest of me. So please reach out to me. You can check out the content at superchargeyourdentalpractice.com. So I said I was super excited, and I'm super excited because of our guest today. And she's been a guest before, and I just recorded an episode with her on her podcast. We're talking about Kiera Dent, who is from the Dental A team, and we're going to be talking the CEO mindset, systematizing your practice for freedom and growth today. So before I let Kiera take it off, I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. So she is the founder and CEO of the Dental A team, an entrepreneur, consultant, speaker, and podcast host dedicated to helping dental professionals reach their highest potential. Through customized in-office and virtual consulting, she empowers dentists and their teams to cultivate an ownership mindset and achieving lasting growth. With experience spanning every role in a dental practice, front office, dental assistant, regional manager, and even practice owner, Kiera brings a unique first-hand perspective to her coaching. Alongside her team of expert consultants, she has partnered with hundreds of practices nationwide, leading them to greater efficiency, profitability, and fulfillment. As she often says, we don't just understand you, we are you. So please welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast, Kiera Dent. Kiera, thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast today.
Oh, Len, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I loved our podcast we did together. I love the podcast we did in the past together. I'm super excited about Supercharge. Everybody should go. We're going to sneak peek be there in 2026. Len, huge fan of you guys. Just excited to be here with you. So thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, it's always a little weird and fun to hear your bio read right before you get on. So just grateful to be here and just have a good time with you. It's always a great time when we podcast together.
Well, I'm excited to spend the next 30 minutes or so with content from you. So I always like to start off, for people that don't know who you are. I obviously read your bio. Can you just tell dentists and other people reading or listening and watching this episode how you help dental practices?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the bio you heard, I started out as a dental assistant and then went throughout, and I've owned practices. My first practice I took from $500,000 to $2.4 million in 9 months and opened our second location. And that was with a Midwestern grad. I worked at the dental college there. And so helping practices, what I learned was I've been a team member. I've been in so many of the team roles. And then in addition to that, I've owned dental practices and I understand the business, and I run multi-million-dollar practices and businesses. And so bringing that perspective, I feel like there's the dentist perspective, there's the owner, the CEO of the practice, and then there's the team perspective. And both are necessary for practices. And so Dental A team, I say it stands for dentist and team. So what we really do for practices is, whether it's virtual or in person, I call it the yes model, Len, is what I like to say is, number one, you as a person, we're going to focus on your vision, where you want to go as a doctor, what is your vision? The practice should serve your life, because I believe that when you're supported, you're actually a better owner, a better boss, a better dentist. And then we go to E, stands for earnings and profitability. We've got to make sure it's a profitable practice. And then we use those things, the vision and the numbers, to then tell us what systems and team development we need to put into place. I'm really much a custom, let's see, kind of like dentists do with patients, let's do a comp exam, let's see where we're at. And then let's go for what's going to make the biggest impact with the least amount of effort. And being team members ourselves, I really think that we're able to hey, dentist, we want to hear your vision. We need to know where you're going. And then go do your favorite thing. It's dentistry. And then let's help your team be empowered to learn how to run the practice. So it truly is like a self-managing team, utilizing every single player in the team to their highest potential, but doing it with a ton of fun and ease. As a team member, I didn't want more hard work. As an owner, I do not want you to give me more homework. I'm already busy. So I feel like we really come in and bridge that gap of where we are to where we want to go, and do it in the easiest, most efficient, and most fun way possible to help team and patient experience be the top that it can be.
So I guess someone's listening to this podcast and they say, I want to change the culture in my practice, but I'm very much a micromanager. So, which means they're not focused on their dentistry, they're focused on managing the team.
Yep.
Do you help with that? Because there are so many micromanagers out there. I was one of them for a very long time. And it honestly wasn't until I gave up that micromanaging and I just did the things I was going to do that my practice excelled. So that's something, if someone's a micromanager, do you get them off doing that, or how do you deal with that?
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that, because I think most founder owners are micromanagers. I think leadership, we believe, I think so many, there's this like belief out there that we just come into this world as great leaders and we should just know it. Like, you went to dental school, you should just know how to be a leader, and leadership is a journey. And so for those micromanagers, I think it's really fun to have the doctor and the team perspective and to be able to help both of them say, like, no, doctor, like, these are the things. But what I found is doctors micromanage because there's a lack of communication feedback loops. So it's either a lack of communication and feedback loop, a lack of knowledge, or they just like genuinely want to be a manager and they don't want to be an owner. And I'm like, great, let's just figure out what the reasoning is, and then let's find the solution to that. So if team members have doctors that are micromanaging, first question I'm looking at is like, where's the feedback loop and what are we missing? Next is like, hey, doctor, I understand that this is where we're at. This is where I need you to be for the growth of the practice. What do you need to feel confident to be the dentist, to be the, like, not micromanaging? Like, there's a lack. And when I realize there's a lack, and when teams can realize that there's a lack, like there's just something missing, we fix that. Dentist is now able to be happy, team's able to flourish, everything starts to move in a good motion. So absolutely. And I think being team members ourselves, we're not doctors, we're not dentists. Like, Len, I'm going to lean on you for clinical. Like, that's not my world. I'm not here to even discuss it for 1 minute. But what I am here to do is to bridge that gap between doctors and teams, because ultimately it's the same team. Like, everybody wants the best experience for the patient. We want the practice to flourish. So if we're all same team, let's help get people right seat, right person, help them understand what they should and could be doing. But also, like office managers, there's this whole weird world for them too, where they've never been taught to be managers. They've never been taught what they should or shouldn't be doing. They've never been taught like what the difference between an office manager is and a biller and a scheduler and a treatment coordinator, and how all those roles are different. And so helping people understand even what their job entails, I think really can cut that micromanagement passion project. It's just a lack of knowledge. And so teaching teams and teaching people, but we're very hands-on. I really don't like fluff. That's why I think, Len, you and I get along well. I want it to be tactical. I want it to be practical. And I want it to be something that's sustainable as well.
And that makes a lot of sense. And that was a great answer, by the way. We're talking about, obviously, you're very systematized. You put systems in place. The team follows. Everybody knows what they're doing. It runs like a well-oiled machine. Okay? And that's how my practice was when I left, when I was traveling. I knew things, I didn't worry. I knew that things were going to be done like this. They knew the roles. Team members didn't need to be scolded. They just knew what their role was in the practice. So I know there are things, I like a term here you use, the chaos creators. So there are chaos creators in the office. So what are some of these common chaos creators that actually can be helped by putting systems in place?
Yes. And I love that you brought that up, because that's the ultimate goal. That's why I wanted this to be called like the CEO mindset. Like doctors, like you should be a dentist and you should own your business. You should not be the one managing. And when you recognize that, this actually can be one of the biggest chaos creators in the practice of doctors trying to be the doctor, the dentist, the CEO visionary, plus the manager, plus all the other parts of the practice. Like, that is a chaos creator. Not knowing right person, right seat is a massive chaos creator. Number one thing I hear every time I go into an office or I work with someone is it's communication. And communication is, again, just a system that needs to be put into place. So how do team members know, like, what is our true morning huddle? It's not a time for us just to hang out. Like, why do football players huddle? Why do basketball players huddle? They huddle to win the game. So what does winning on our practice even look like? Making that very clear for our team. Other things like handoffs, that's another communication drop that's a chaos creator. What doctor says to the patient, to the hygienist, to the front office, it's such fun. Like, I feel like we play a game of telephone. So putting in a little simple system there where we've got a great communication handoff and a process. And I know, Len, you and I are very big on this case acceptance process of just like really having a great clean experience for the patient. These are chaos creators. Also, team members even knowing what their job should be, understanding how they go from where they were hired to how they can get raises. Those are chaos creators. The scheduling, how do we schedule? Let's have block schedules in there. Let's have a way that we do this in our practice. I remember when I was a scheduling coordinator, my office manager said, Kiera, do not even think about scheduling outside of the blocks until you learn why we schedule the blocks the way we do. And you're right. Like, when team members know the rules of the game, so much chaos gets eliminated from the practice. So, like, quick things are, have great meetings, and truly great meetings. If you don't know how to run a great meeting, Traction by Gino Wickman. It's a little bit of a dull book. However, there are so many paramount pieces in that book, and great meetings could be in there. Doctors and OMs have a same page meeting where we're looking at it. get our KPIs in place where we know where is the practice even going, what is each person's number that they can like impact and improve in the practice, have like set job descriptions, have protocols of how we treat a patient, what's our hygiene perio protocol. Let's just have like really simple systems. And I'm big on, I don't like to remember things. Like I love holidays. Holidays are on a cadence. So how can we actually get cadences within your practice to where things really can run on more of an autopilot rather than trying to constantly like catch all the balls and remember things? That's the chaos. The chaos comes from the like not knowing and trying to scramble and being in reactive rather than proactive modes.
Well, that's really good. That's really great. So another question I have for you, there are dentists who are just dentists, and I don't mean that negatively, but they go in with the expectation that they're either going to be an associate forever or they're just going to practice and let everybody run the practice and they're just going to come in and do the dentistry, okay? Versus having the mindset of and acting like the CEO, okay? And there's a big difference. One, I believe, has a lot more stress. I like to talk about it because I was the CEO of the practice. I handled everything. I handled the marketing. I handled, the HR. I handled all of the things that makes it different than just being a dentist and putting your hands in the mouth and treating a patient. So if someone wants to act and think like a CEO, what does it really mean to do that versus just practicing dentistry and doing the dental work?
Yes, Len, I'm so glad you brought this up. I've been like crushing on this idea. We actually just ran a 3-day CEO dentist workshop. So like obsessing on this right now because there is nothing wrong. And I think that there's a few hats that people wear. I wear a consultant hat. I also wear a CEO hat. And they're actually, and I think about big companies, like let's look at Google. I know that CEO is not coding. They're not building it. They're truly in a CEO realm. And so when we look at like, what does a CEO do? They are the chief executive officer. Like their job is to execute. Their job is vision. Their job is culture. And their job is to like really steer and guide the ship and to come up with great ideas. And so when I look at that, I think that there's two hats for CEO dentists to wear. There is the true clinical dentistry, if that's what you want to do and continue to do. And then we really do need somebody who's guiding and leading this business. And I think when dentists, I know this can be a little like not favored. Dental practices are multi-million-dollar businesses, and they are. And when we realize that they are businesses, and like you said, the HR and the marketing, when you look at large businesses outside of dentistry, they have other players in the realm and in the rink with them to make it actually run as a very successful business. And so I believe that when we understand the business portion of dentistry and we have great clinical care, that's when we're able to serve and help more patients and more team members. And so helping these dentists realize, what does a CEO do? And I actually pulled from Dan Martell, the author of Buy Back Your Time, like obsessed with his book, met him in person, like raving fangirl. It was like slightly embarrassing, like how big of a fan I was of him. But he has his delegation ladder in there for businesses, and I actually created a delegation ladder for dental practices of when CEO dentists go from, like, you're right, Len, a lot of them do it all. And that's, I think, where the burnout is and the chaos is, to where when can we start to delegate? Like, do you have a personal assistant who answers all of your emails for you? And if not, administrative tasks are one of the best things to delegate. Then we move into like our scheduling, and then into our customer service and the patient experience. And then we move into treatment planning. A lot of doctors do that on their own. And I'm not here to say you have to give up anything, but I am here to say that when you truly take on the role of CEO, trying to do it all actually creates chaos. And you're the bottleneck of the business. And so then we start to delegate out the case acceptance. If you want to, you're allowed to keep whatever you want, whatever you're great at. Then we delegate out the marketing. Then we delegate out actually, me and my operations manager were talking that I believe that there's two spaces within leadership. There's the executive side, that's these big picture visionary pieces. And then there's the management side, which is the HR, the protocols, the accountability of the team. And when we had that, and I believe that it's like a black and a white, yin and yang, perfect whole. You need both sides of this leadership within that CEO realm. But when you're trying to do all the pieces, as a CEO, you need to know every aspect going on in the business, but that does not mean you need to do every aspect of the business. And so I think it's like figuring out which colors you like to paint with, which ones really are your zone of genius, and then starting to then delegate in strategic manners. Delegate and elevate, not abdicate, really are how you can make this where you become truly the CEO of your business and your practice, and you're able to have great players around you that are able to then make sure every other part of your business is thriving and flourishing too.
Got it.
So much, Len. I hope it wasn't like.
No, that was great.
So
that was
fun.
great. I mean, they should replay that because I think there was some really good nuggets and pearls that they can take back. So, I want to talk about delegation. So, Invisalign is a great product to bring into the practice, or aligners in general. Doesn't have to be Invisalign, just aligners. And aligners are really good, but they become really profitable when a dentist is willing and able to delegate the tasks to other team members. And personally myself, I used to do it all. And then I took a class by somebody, I can't remember who it was, but it was all about empower your team to do things and delegate the services to them, where you're literally kind of just doing the initial consultation and whatever is required by your license in the realm of the things, but the team is able to do mostly everything else. And once you do that, Invisalign becomes a very, very profitable procedure. So what advice do you have about delegation to a dentist who really feels like they need to do it all and does not want to give up control of anything?
Len, I'm so happy you asked me this question, and I'm so happy that I'm a team member, and I'm going to put on a team member hat, not a CEO hat on this one. Number one, I really, really hope, and dentists, if you need to pause, replay, record this and listen to it every single day, I really hope you do. As a team member, my number one job, and like genuinely speaking, and doctors have told me so many times, and when they've heard me say this, it hopefully will strike you to your heart as well. As a team member, my number one, genuine number one objective was to make my doctor happy and to make their life easier. And that was honestly what I did every single day. As a dental assistant, I'm looking ahead. I want to be 7 steps ahead of you, and I want to make sure that you're truly set up for success. I want to make sure that patient's back on time. I want to make sure that hygiene exams are on time. And I think that while yes, you might have some team members that make you question this statement, I think 95% of the population is genuinely good, and they want you to thrive, and they want the patient experience to be great. So when you hear that and you truly honor that and you respect that and you trust that, you then will realize that one of the best things you can do is, I don't believe in delegating. So I can empower, but if I empower and don't hold accountable, then I've created entitlement within my practice. So I want to empower through delegating of this, as a dental assistant, do you know how happy I'd be if you gave me Invisalign? I understand I'm going to make a few mistakes, but oh my gosh, the growth equals happiness. So for your team to be happy, give them opportunities to progress. That's what creates the happiness and the sparkle and the zest in life. And so really when you empower your team and hold accountable, you don't get this entitlement. When you empower and don't hold accountable, that's when we get these entitled teams that genuinely then it just becomes mayhem in your practice. So like you said, delegate these tasks that either you're not good at, or I do think about everybody should be working at the top of their license. What are you able to produce per hour? If there's a task that I can hire somebody for less than you can produce an hour, it's probably something that we shouldn't be using your time for. And I know as a CEO, as an owner, this is actually hard for me because you strip me of things that I'm actually really good at. But reality is there's better uses of my time. And when you can recognize giving everybody the best use of their time, me as a dental assistant being able to do Invisalign, you've now just lifted and elevated me to the highest level of my license as well. And so I really do believe doctors, one, believe that your team is truly here to support you. And if they're not here to support you, they're not your right team players. And they great, let them graduate to somebody else and you bring somebody else in. 2, empower them and hold accountable to ensure that it's how you want it done. And team members, you can share this with your team. I'm happy to share. That's one reason I like to do this. Team members, give the feedback to your doctor. They are going to trust you so much more when you come back to them and you show them the things, you listen to what they say, you create the protocols, you do it exactly how they want you to do it. That will build trust and confidence so quickly. Team members lose doctors' trust so quickly when they lacked to follow through and truly do what the doctors have given them stewardship and ownership over. So for those doctors, and like you said, Len, you won't understand until you try. And when you do try, you will make mistakes. But I believe, this is my philosophy, anything that I've delegated never gets to come back to me. And I think when you have that notion and that idea, well, I know it could never come back to me. You actually make it really, really great. You train your team, you help them have this. And I then believe everybody's able to flourish so much higher. So hopefully that answered of 1, you need to delegate and you should delegate. 2, what are the tasks that you can be doing that are helping you work to the highest level of your license? Everybody working at that is going to make a better team experience, a better patient experience, and all around a better practice for you as well.
I think the content you're providing the listening and viewing audience is spectacular. One of the, negatives about being a dentist is the feeling of being overwhelmed. A lot of stress. That's part of the reason why I think you've got, dentists with one of the highest suicide rates out there is that, it's a very stressful job. I mean, you've got a lot of debt. You've got a lot of, people relying on you for income as well. So what mindsets do you think exist or mindset traps do dentists fall into that keep them feeling overwhelmed? And what do you do about that?
Yeah. Len, this is something so real to me. My first practice, I mentioned it briefly at the very beginning we took our practice from 500,000 to 2.4 million in 9 months. And when I present and I speak, I often will bring up the success story, and I list off my stats of our practice, and I asked the audience, I said, who wants this practice? And hands go up and people are shouting yes, I want this. And then I say the other side of success is that this person, which is me, spoiler alert, I was 98 pounds and I'm 5'8". I had divorce papers on the line. I remember I walked out of my practice that one day, and I remember just standing on the sidewalk and being one step and all this could be over. It was, and I'm not a dentist. I didn't even have the pressure of having to be in the exam rooms, but I do understand the pressure of business. And that's actually what's fueled my passion in consulting is because I thought, if this is how so many of us feel to get to success, Tony Robbins has a quote that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And that was Kiera Dent in a nutshell. We had success on paper, but fulfillment was lacking and my entire life was falling apart. And so when you ask, what are some of these zones that keep people in this mindset is one, I think that we believe that to get to success, we have to grind it out. We have to hustle. We have to do it all. It's this hustle mentality that I believe is so false. Yes, I do believe that hard work is required, but I don't believe you have to do all of the work. Just like we talked about before, I also think delegation is paramount. I think so many of the doctors that I see that are in this burnout are just, it's grippy. They want to hold on to everything and they're not willing to let go. And they're not also you're telling your team that you don't trust them and you don't believe in them when you do that as well. So you're actually causing this double-edged sword on it. And then third, I think we just don't take time to stop and pause and realize what really is necessary. I think so much when I sold out of the practices, my whole identity was associated with that. So if we have our identities associated with these practices and with the success, well, I can imagine that feels like chopping off your arm and your leg if you were to fail. So therefore, if it's literally my physical body and I feel like it's my whole identity, I literally remember the day that I sold out of the practices, I felt, who is Kiera Dent? Who is she? I have no purpose in this world anymore. Nothing is important. I don't even have a family. I have no practice. I felt nothing. And I think when people's identities are associated with this, rather than having something else. So I talk about what makes all of you up. And I remember looks like this weird little doll. It's such a weird outline that I make people do, but I'm draw to me how your life is. And when I do this, usually it's from your neck to your ankles, that's work. And if that much of your identity is associated with work in your practice, what could we shift this to more so your whole identity is not associated with that? So that's we go work out, we have time with family, we book the vacations. And when you start to realize that there's more life outside of the chair, more life outside of it, and you being a well-rounded human that truly, and I don't like the word balance, I just love the word well-rounded and fulfilled. When we start to add some of those pieces in, which again feels contradictory, it feels if I give this up, then I'm not making money. I used to say, I don't want to sit on the couch and watch TV with my husband because I'm literally not making money. That's one of the grossest statements I've ever said, but Len, it's truth. I really, truly felt this way. The only purpose is to be producing and to be productive. But I didn't realize that, you look at that, athletes have to take a break and they have to reset. They have to recharge. They have to, the best time is actually the recovery off season. No person can continue operating at 110. When they are operating, they're actually not their best self. So there's just as much beauty in the recharge off time as there is on the productive on time. So when we can delegate, when we have more purpose beyond just our practice, and it's okay, work to me is very fulfilling. It's such a big part of my life. I love it, but it's not all of Kiera's identity. So if I were to lose work, Kiera, and hopefully you, can still exist outside of that. And then truly having shut off time. A lot of clients, when they come on board, I tell them, I'm giving you the greatest gift. You're out of work today at 4:30 and I don't want you to talk about work. Close the laptop, walk out, and literally leave it at work. And what's crazy is people don't realize that you can actually get a lot done within your 4 or 5 hour, 4 or 5 day a week work week. And to be home with your kids, to be home with your family, to go to the gym, to replenish your bucket that gives out so much every single day really is what you actually need to be doing rather than trying to produce more. And it sounds contradictory, but it's true. You will actually produce more and be a better producer and happier business owner if you will do that. I know that was a long-winded answer, Len, but I really hope that people can see there are two sides of success. The word itself of success has a portion of suck. Like there is a side of business that is really hard, that does require that grind and that hard work, but there's also a beautiful side. And I think when people can dance in that, can see that their whole identity is not the practice, it's not all dependent on that, and they fill themselves and fuel themselves, literally, I feel like the burnout can be dissipated very quickly. If you've been going on it for a long time, it will probably take a little bit longer, but these small, simple steps will make you so much more fulfilled. And honestly, I hope nobody listening to this podcast hits success without fulfillment. I hope all of us commit that while we're giving great patient care, we're giving back to all these people, we equally get to deserve, and we should deserve to have a beautiful life of our own as well.
So nicely said. Very eloquent in the way you said that as well. Last thing I want to cover is, we talked about being overwhelmed. Stress is also obviously part of being overwhelmed. You're very stressed. What are some ways that you think a dentist can reduce the stress on a day-to-day part of his practice? If someone said, hey, I'm so stressed, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you hear it a lot. I mean, I talk to dentists all the time, and, one of the common denominators is that they're stressed. When I sold my practice, I was never truly stressed out. The stuff that stressed me out, honestly, was stupid stuff. But since I sold my practice and retired, I don't really have much stress in my life anymore. So it's very interesting. But what are some things that a dentist could do to reduce those stress they see on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. Okay. And I said yes because I'm going to go back to the S model. The S model is literally like my stress buster for you. Number one, where do you want to go and why? Like, figure out you. Like, truly, if you don't have a North Star, you don't know what you're going for, and reassess to make sure that's really where you want to go. So many people put this like, I want to have 4 practices and I want to have this. And I'm like, why? You got to be able to tell me why. I'm making sure it's your dream, not the dream you think you should be living. That's like number one to get rid of stress, like truly living your dream. And I will tell you, you're allowed, like it's in pencil, it's not in permanent ink. You can erase it, you can recraft it, you can recreate it. That's going to cut stress. I was chasing after a mountain I didn't want to climb anymore. And when I realized that was a pivot shift. So number one is like, make sure you're actually truly going where you want to go. And that's the you. Earnings like profit, like Len, so much stress comes from not knowing the numbers. And I know people sometimes want to avoid it. They don't want to look at it. Like, I'm just going to go do production. I want to do ethical dentistry. And I will tell you, both exist. It's not an or. Like you as a human are going to naturally do ethical dentistry. Like you can't go against that. That's who you are at your core. And by knowing the numbers, you're not going to go and overdiagnose. Like I promise you it will not happen. But knowing the numbers and actually like looking at your cash, what are you spending money on? What do you need to produce to be able to afford the business? Doctors learn the numbers and they actually use the numbers to make their decisions. Stress dissipates. I have so many doctors that reach out to me because they're cash flow poor. And I'm like, you're producing $200,000 a month. How are we broke? So actually understanding how to use numbers and not to be used by numbers, and knowing how you actually can get money and like what can you live on, and understanding tax brackets and savings, like that discipline might seem constrictive, but I will tell you it is the most freeing, stress-free piece that you can have. And then third, our systems and team. Like I'm going to like just really keep like painting this picture for you. Delegate to your team, use your team, put the systems into place. And we don't go for the whole elephant. We don't do the entire thing in one night shift. What we do is we look at the numbers, where are numbers low on the KPIs? Let's go fix a system over there. So we fix that part of the leaking bucket. Just that alone, like even myself, I felt it like the whoosh of reducing that stress for you. Start with your vision, know your numbers, and then put systems into place and team delegation and elevation that will immediately reduce stress. And then like just quick, what is the 1 or 2 hot pain points right now causing the bulk of your stress? Let's figure out how we can eliminate those right now. And everybody always says, Kiera, there's no way, like I can't do this. The answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can. And when we get out of this, I can't get that, I can't do this, we actually find the true core of what we can solve. Usually the answer is pretty simple and it's pretty immediate if we're willing to just let go and take action. So those would be kind of my like 4 little steps to reduce stress quickly and easily. And if you can't see it, sometimes having an outside voice, an outside perspective, sometimes you're too far in the weeds. That can be very beneficial for you as well, to like take you by the hand and say, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're there to guide you as well, rather than you trying to figure it out yourself.
Amazing. This was great. I want to shift for the final few minutes that we have together. I want to shift to my lightning round Q&A that I like to do with guests.
Ready.
We're going to get through 8 to 10 of these.
Okay,
So
I'm ready.
The rule of thumb for this one, you like long-winded answers, which is great. But for this one, that's very, very fast. No long-winded. We'll never get through this.
You got it,
Okay?
Len.
So I open my app up. First question, What book do you want to go back and reread as it's made a great impact on you the first time you read it?
I would go back and reread Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I feel like there's a lot that I could relearn from that, where I'm at today.
Repeat that one more time.
Yep, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Buy Back Your Time. I'm just writing it down. All right. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
Oh gosh, Tony Robbins, hands down. I love Tony so much. I look up to him a lot. I've been in his Lions group. The reason I look up to him is because he said one time, the Tony you see in front of you is the Tony I created. It's not from my parents. It's not from business. It's not from anybody else. It's who I want to be and who I esteem to be. And he said, life is always happening for you and not to you. And those two pieces have resonated with me so much in my life. Truly one of the biggest, greatest mentors. And I've been really blessed and lucky to have him directly mentor me, which have truly changed the trajectory of my course of my life as well.
Awesome. Amazing. If you could take a class to learn anything, what would it be on?
Marketing. Len, I hate marketing. I call it my Achilles heel. I learned so much and I think I know more, but man, if I could understand it on a really high level easily, all day, every day. And I take a lot of them, but man, one magic one that would teach me everything. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Amazing. Do you believe there is some sort of pattern or formula to becoming successful?
Yes, I do. It sounds like cliche and I think the yes model came from what I believe success is, you having a vision, looking at your numbers, and then putting systems into play and using your team and surrounding yourself with people that are living and doing the life you want. I really do believe we become like the people we surround ourselves, what we listen to. So that's what I would say is the path to success.
Amazing too. Has anyone in your network, other than Tony Robbins, has anybody in your network been important in your journey or to your journey?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of people. I think my husband, that's a huge support for me. He believes in me, even when maybe he shouldn't believe in me, but having that rock. And then also my team. Truly, I look at all the variations of Dental A team and where I've gone as me as a person. They've evolved me as a human, and they've also evolved our company. And the good and the bad that have gone through, they have truly shaped me, every single one of them. And I'm very, very grateful for the trust they put in me to create what we've built.
Amazing. How have you developed key partnerships?
That's fun. You go to events, you talk to people, you look to see how can you add value to their world, to their life. And I think partnerships to me, I don't try to figure out how to do something. I look to see who do I know that knows how to do this? That's how I use partnerships in life, and vice versa. Bring more to the table than you take from people. But I look at people of just what's their secret sauce? How can I connect them to other people? To me, it's a fun connect the dots of just getting great people together. That's how I believe that, to me, that's how all boats rise, is through partnerships, hands down. One of the best things was networking and meeting people. You will learn more from the minds of men than you will be able to mine out of this world. There is more gold there than anywhere else in this world.
Got it. What has been your most satisfying moment in business?
Most satisfying moment?
Yeah.
There have been a lot. I think recently my most satisfying moment was when I wanted to give up, and I really was so burnt out and I was exhausted and I was tired, and I hit that breaking point again in my life. And for the first time in my entire career, I took an entire month off and I reset, and it was the most scaring. There was a lot of really bad backlash that came from it. But me as a human recentered, refocused, reprioritized. And I think that was one of the most satisfying moments to realize, at the end of the day, CEOs and business owners have to show up for themselves first to be able to give to their entire team. And I'd never, ever, ever, ever done that. So me personally, that was one of them. But man, the hundreds and thousands of clients' lives, Glenn, you and I both know, I think as consultants, when you hear people's lives changing, clients who were broke and literally had no money and now they're buying their kids their dream lives, that to me will always be the clincher of everything but beautiful, and why I show up every single day to do it. So there's a personal and a professional win that was just super satisfying.
That's really great. All right, 3 questions left. Let's get through these quickly. What deserves all your attention but seldom gets it?
I would say probably my body, working out.
Okay. What 3 adjectives describe your strengths?
Adjectives. I would say grit, say fun, and I would say passion.
Great answers. Last question I ask this to everybody. So it is one subscription, either business or personal, so something you pay for either monthly or annually, that you simply cannot live without.
Len, I would say I can't live without honestly is boomerang. That sounds so ridiculous. I would not be able to follow up with all the millions of things that I do day in and day out without boomerang as a person, like professional. Like I would pay for that all day, every day.
I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one.
There you go.
So Kiera, how can people learn more about how you can help them? If they want to learn more about your consulting agency, what's the best way for them to reach out and find out more?
Yeah, thank you so much, Len. Best way is listen to the podcast, the Dental A Team podcast. Reach out on our website, thedentalateam.com. You can book a call with us, or you can always reach out. You can text us directly, 775-243-5100. Like, we will get back to you. I'm happy to share any tips, any insights. Find us on Instagram, Dental A Team. Truly, we try to be just like you are, Len, available at all aspects, and just really, really grateful for this opportunity today.
Well, this was great. Kiera, thank you so much for spending 30 plus minutes with me, really educating the audience on things you're passionate about. And just like I did on yours, you can see the passion when you talk. You can see the passion in how you answer the questions. So I truly appreciate you kind of giving it all to us. So thank you again for being part of the Raving Patients podcast. Guys, if you like the episode, please like us, please review us. If you think you or yourself or one of your colleagues can use what the Dental A Team can do for your practice, please reach out and let them know you heard about them through the podcast that I just did with Kiera. And as I end every single one of my episodes, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next episode, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll talk to everyone soon.